right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening once again, everyone. Bob Pompeani here at 412-575-2600. By now, you should know the routine. Call us, air your opinions. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Andrew Fillipponi's up at 93.7 The Fan, where he didn't do that there. He was at the Pitt game, and now he drove back. It's a similar theme, Andrew. Pitt and Duke tonight, and every time I've watched Pitt this year, they play a pretty good first half, no matter who the opponent, generally speaking. But the second half, things change dramatically. I saw that with SMU on Saturday, and tonight it got up to 40-29, and I don't know what it is right now, but Pitt was in a close game, had the lead late in the first half. They were down 11, but I expect Duke to pull away.
Well, I would too. I mean, they were a 17.5-point favorite in this game. If Duke were to lose to Pitt, then I think among the Dukies, of which there are many, as it turns out, in Pittsburgh, there were a lot of Duke fans at this game tonight, maybe 50-50 split in the arena. And, yeah, you lose to Pitt, all of a sudden thoughts of a 1 seed and all that kind of stuff kind of fizzle out for a little while after that loss to North Carolina over the weekend. This has been really just a dreadful season for Pitt. And if they were to win this game tonight, that would basically be their national championship, Bob. They should bring out a ladder and let Pitt cut down the nets tonight at the Pete if they're able to beat Duke.
Well, Miami beat North Carolina tonight, and I necessarily didn't see
Miami's
that coming.
a good team.
I know they
Miami did a very good job. They hired a Duke assistant, one of Shire's guys, right, Lucas, and he's done a tremendous job. Now, they got big NIL money there, and it's not hard to convince kids to go spend winter in Coral Gables, Florida. I've walked around that campus before. There's fountains. There's people not wearing a lot of clothes, if that's what you're into. And, yeah, it's a nice campus, Bob. You should check it out sometime.
No, I've been down there. I know what you're saying. It's easy to sell that without the NIL money. Then you throw that on top. They're 8-3 now, I think, in conference. Or no, what's their record? It's a pretty good record, Miami, in conference play. So we'll see. They're going to make some noise, I think, in the ACC tournament update. Duke is up 47-40, 10 minutes left in the game. So Pitt has cut it to 7. We'll see if they can get closer. And, of course, that point spread is a big one at 17.5. All right. Had a report today from Jason LaCanfora. I'm not sure, how accurate all this stuff is all the time. However, in this one, he said that teams are looking at Malik Willis. And I bring that up only because every time we talk quarterbacks, it seems like his name comes up. There are a lot of names that could come up for the Steelers if Aaron Rodgers decides not to play. But it looks like he is going to play. But if he doesn't, this report says Malik Willis is most likely headed to Miami or Cleveland, who continues, if that's the case, to just, get as many quarterbacks as they can and just bring them in there and say, okay, somebody go out there and play. What do you make of that?
Miami makes a lot of sense because Jeff Hafley, the coach, was in Green Bay as the defensive coordinator, and the GM there was the assistant GM in Green Bay. So they're just trying to make that Packers South, I would guess. And they saw something in Malik Willis that they liked, and so did a lot of teams in the limited action he had the last 2 seasons filling in for an injured Jordan Love. The Browns thing, I don't understand that. Deshaun Watson is still under contract. I think there's a shot Deshaun Watson plays for the Browns this year because of how much they're paying him and the owner wanting to get some return on investment coming back from that injury. Shedeur Sanders also going into year 2. And they've got draft picks the next 2 years in the draft. So I don't really understand why. I don't think it's going to be cheap with Malik Willis. So that would be another Browns-esque thing to do, to throw money at another quarterback when you're already paying Deshaun Watson all that money and you've got Shedeur Sanders around as well.
And there are a lot of quarterbacks who could be attained in this offseason. Certainly down in Miami, they're looking at somebody else because they know Tua won't be back down there. Kyler Murray is who knows where he's going to be. There are others out there who fit that opportunity, like potentially Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, the list goes on and on. We'll see what happens, but at some point, it's going to start with Aaron Rodgers making his decision. Also, the Pirates. I saw this on Fangraphs today, and they were making a big deal about it. They're 43% chance to make the playoffs, which is right up there with the best teams in the National League Central. Have you bought in that much that you think they should be a playoff team based on what they've done so far?
No, but I like that number because that's really about where I'm at. So I think Fangraphs, instead of using all their algorithms and formulas, they just looked into my soul because that's exactly how I feel. I've got them right now at about 40-60 to make the playoffs. And I told you the other night, I do think there's a compelling argument to be made that the only team in the division that's really better than them is the Cubs. With the way the Brewers have taken away from their team, I think the Reds were a little bit of a fluke last year, and they barely got over 500. And then you've got the Cardinals, who are built to lose 90-plus games. So that leaves the Pirates with their young pitching and their improved lineup. I mean, they added over 200 RBI to their lineup. They're a team, I think, that really can win more than 80 games this year. And we'll see. I mean, last year that was good enough, barely above 500 to make the playoffs. But I think the Braves will bounce back this season. I think the Mets will be improved with the moves they made this offseason. So I think 3 teams will come out of the NL East, and that'll leave only one wild card team for the NL Central and NL West, Bob.
That's a good observation, although I think the West is still a team. Although San Francisco makes me think they're going to go a little bit backwards. We'll talk more about that as the weeks go on and we get further into spring training. We got to take a break. We'll take it right now. Come back with your phone calls. 412-575-2600. Call us right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We're doing it 7 nights a week on KDKA+, and most nights 93.7 The Fan. All right, this is our Xfinity Tweet of the Night. We just talked to you about Fangraphs, North Shore 9. That's where they have it. You see on that list there, Pirates right now at 43%. There are a lot of teams below them, teams that have made moves. I think the Reds have tried. They brought in Suarez and some more pitching. Cardinals, I don't know what they are. Maybe in a rebuild situation. But the Pirates go into this with a lot of optimism. There's some talk that they might get Justin Verlander as a guy who could come in and be a 5th starter, but he ends up going back to the Detroit Tigers. And if you look at the all-time earnings list, Andrew, he's up at $422 million, given this $13 million salary. That's $60 million behind Alex Rodriguez. But $422, that's just playing. But he's been in the league forever. So, man, that's you know why Kate Upton went there, right? That's. Well,
Kate Upton's also from Michigan, so they're going back home. And maybe that's why she fell in love with him in the first place. She might be a Tigers fan. I think Paul Skeens is going to make more money than that when it's all said and done. I think he's going to make over $500 million on his first free agent contract, whenever that is. And he's going to set all kinds of records, provided he stays healthy. And knock on wood, hold on, let me get it behind me. Knock on wood, he stays healthy for the Pirates while he's still in a Pirates uniform.
Well, I don't know if he'll ever be able to top the money that Ohtani got. Because it was record-breaking, but Tarek Skubal's going to end up in that deferred money, $500 million. Yeah,
and the way those Dodgers circumvented that way of the luxury tax with that money that's deferred, Bob.
Well, if you're a player, you should love the deferred plan. He has enough to begin with. You can just and then well into your retirement, and like Bobby Bonilla and like Rick DiPietro in hockey, you keep getting checks forever. It seems like. All right, Andrew, let's go to the phone lines. A lot of people want to talk. At 412-575-2600, beginning with Dave in the north side, who's our number 1 Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night tonight. Hey, Dave.
Oh, yeah. If Will Harris, if he's going to be our future quarterback, he's going to have to stay healthy first before we ever mention his name, because you got to stay healthy. You're a 7th-round pick. You can't afford to be getting hurt.
Well, he got hurt last year, and it cost him a preseason, and that's a big part of why he's still an unknown commodity. Not that 3 games in the preseason would have determined his future, but it would have given them a little bit more opportunity to say, okay, this guy is something. They like what they've seen. They like the work ethic. They like what he's been able to pick up. They classify him as a leader, Andrew, but we haven't seen it on the field, and that's going to be difficult unless there's an injury if Rodgers is back.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know how much you can like him other than what he did in that playoff run for Ohio State. He was very good, but that is a small sample size of games. He had all those great receivers around, too, which made things easier, but at the end of the day, he still had to go out there and perform, and he did in those key spots. So I think they got value in the 6th round. I do believe he's a better quarterback than that. Still remains to be seen if he is actually a franchise quarterback. And that's a big leap from where he is right now to being the man. And for as much as the Steelers say they like him, I don't see them giving him a chance to be their starter this year. I mean, even if Aaron Rodgers were to retire, I would think, Bob, the Steelers would try to bring somebody else in with more experience, with more of a winning pedigree, with more of a starter's resume to be their quarterback this season.
Yeah, but even if they did that, I would still make it an open competition because anyone, you're going to have to pay whatever the price is. And that, to me, that doesn't necessarily guarantee you're the starter. It means that they like you enough to give you the opportunity to be the starter. I would make it a competition. If it's Malik Willis, if it's anyone else you want to put on that list, I would say come in and prove it. And if you win that battle, fine. But I understand the money dictates. When you have a 2-year, $40 million contract or something like that, it does make a difference.
It does, but the tough thing about me in competitions now, and I learned this the very hard way, and that's why I'm self-owning it right now. You know, if you watched the preseason a couple years ago, you would have thought Kenny Pickett was God's gift to quarterbacking.
Yeah,
you know, so
terrific.
If you stage a competition in training camp in the preseason, and a guy looks like that, you're inclined to give him the job. And it can be fool's gold, Bob. You know that with the vanilla defenses. I mean, you're eating more vanilla ice cream with cherries in the preseason than you can handle with the vanilla defense you see, right? I mean, it's just a lot of teams don't want to play their starters anymore. So it's hard to stage a competition based on what you're going up against because these teams, your opposition, they don't try very hard in the preseason anymore. No,
they don't. That makes it difficult to assess. There's no question about that. And you're right, Kenny Pickett, with that 5 touchdown, no interception, 5 possessions. I mean, everybody was buying into that, and it turned out not to be the case. I understand that, but I still think that at some point, you know, they may draft somebody here in the 3rd or 4th round this year and give that person a chance at some point.
Well, it can't be Ty Simpson in the 1st round. That would make me...
I wouldn't do that either.
I would have a big problem with that. Ty Simpson, either have Homer Simpson. Remember Scott Simpson, the golfer?
Absolutely.
I don't want...
Nice mustache on Scott Simpson. Do you remember Craig Simpson? Pittsburgh Penguin product way back when.
Yes.
How
about
pick?
Craig Stadler? He had a nice mustache too, Bob.
And
the Walrus.
And so did his son, Walrus Jr., yeah. Looks just like his dad. Back to the lines. We're going to go out to Raphael in Fox Chapel. Hello, Rafi.
Hey, Bob. How you doing? Hey, it's Ruth. Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Right, sure.
Just kind of absolutely. Watching you guys and everything. And where things seem to be lining up with Mike McCarthy, you know, being the head coach, and negotiations possibly open with Aaron Rodgers coming back to the team, I have a very win now mentality moving forward in the draft, and I feel that get the skill position players. If you can get a wide receiver in the 1st round, if you can get an edge rusher in the 2nd, I mean, get whoever you can to make that team get to the AFC Championship game. Because I really think with Sonny Jurgensen passing, the Over the Hill gang, we were like that old team from the Redskins from years ago, and I think we have the right fold of people to do the AFC Championship with Mike McCarthy. I'll let you guys respond. Always thanks for having me on the show, guys. Thanks.
All right, Raphael, thank you. They got a long way to go. They have a lot of things to try to figure out. You know, they need more help in the wide receiving room. And before we ever talk about any of that stuff, they got to come up with people there in this draft. And I would make sure that I checked a lot of boxes in this draft just to give them opportunities to have depth in different positions. I think we learned a lesson watching Seattle. And last year, too. I mean, teams like Philadelphia, like Denver, they're all very good up front, and they don't need to do anything crazy in order to get pressure. That allows them to really do well in the secondary, Andrew. So I think you still think offensive and defensive line, they're very important to do, and somehow, some way, they got to add more to those positions, I think.
Well, their offensive line should be an ascending bunch, given the amount of draft picks and money they've invested in it. You look at left tackle is still a question mark, though, because Broderick Jones' lack of development. And you're probably going to lose Sayamalu, I think, to retirement maybe. And then I would think Spencer Anderson just gets kind of plugged in there as a cheap left guard option, as a guy that can start and finally get a shot to prove he's an NFL starter. Defensive line is interesting because I want Hayward back for another year. Mm-hmm. I think Harmon, without injuries, full preseason, everything else, you want to see him take a big step. Benton is a weird one for me, Bob. There's guys going into the last year of their contracts who are up for extensions. Joey Porter Jr., I think, deserves a big one. I would extend Washington. I would extend Herbig. Benton's the guy that I'm kind of on the fence on. And that's really the story of his career through, I think, 3 seasons. He's had peaks and valleys. And that's a hard thing to pay and put a number on, because if he performed like he does when he's at his best, yeah, he's worth maybe $10 million or more a year. But then there are a lot of games where he's just completely non-existent and they get run over in the run game, and he's the guy in the middle. So that'll be a tricky one for Omar Khan and this management group, I think.
And they got to hope that Y.A. Black takes another step. Benton, at the end of the year was making some good plays, so you're right, but it's very, very up and down. You need consistency out of that position as well. If you saw our question of the night brought to you by KDKA.com/connect, Penn West University, was Connor Griffin. Do you think he'll be on the opening day roster? When I come back with Andrew, I want to talk about that. So far, 84% say no, he won't be. But then I ask, when will he be? And what does that do to third base if he's up there? Does that create a different situation there? We'll talk about it when we come back right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, KDKA Plus. Never underestimate the people in Vegas, the casino people, the guys who have FanDuel, DraftKings, because they know what they're doing. And right now, this game, Duke is 67-50. They're leading by 17 points. The spread just so happened to be 17.5. So now it's one of those things, if you were watching the Super Bowl the other day and you saw that touchdown that Kenneth Walker scored, and you knew that made the over a winner, and then to see a holding call on Seattle, which made the under a winner, you probably pulled your hair out, Andrew. But this is going to go one of those right down to the wire when it comes to point spreads.
And if Al Michaels had been working the game, he might have had a heart attack on air.
Brent Musburger
because he is
would have
very exactly. Tirico was too worried about hosting that Olympics coverage on the field with the confetti falling in his hair, and then having to fly all the way to Milan later that night afterwards to do that for about 17 hours. Unbelievable. Mike, can you let somebody else have 5 minutes of hosting? Come on now, you hog.
All right,
You're a Syracuse guy. I love you, but can we spread the love a little bit? Jeez.
I give him a lot of credit, though. He's got the energy to do it. You see the Connor Griffin question. So he's going to be up here at some point this year. When he does, he'll be the shortstop. What happens then at third base if they don't make a move, and then you still have Triolo? Do you move Gonzalez over there, as I would like to see, because I think Gonzalez has a more lively bat?
Well, I think you got to give Gonzalez an opportunity to learn third base in spring training and get reps over there for sure. I would use that time to get him comfortable. I don't know if he ever will be, but I think you got to do that. Mm-hmm. If Griffin is on the opening day roster at shortstop, I will have a much smaller issue with Triolo being their opening day third baseman.
I agree.
If that's the direction they go, then I would be okay with that if they just kind of let it fly with the best prospect in baseball and gave him a shot at such a young age.
Yeah, and I think, obviously his defense would help Connor Griffin as well over there. Left side would be a little bit better. I get all that, but I think I'm looking forward to when he gets up here. I'm not going to rule out that it won't be at the beginning of the season, because he doesn't have a lot of minor league at-bats, and they seem to put a premium on that. Andrew, we're out of time. I know you're looking at your score. What is it now before we go?
Still a 17-point game here, Bob. It's hanging by a thread here for Pitt.
Good night. We'll see you tomorrow right here.